this is a very large and a very learned panel. So therefore, here goes Ravichandra for you, yeah? What are the key drivers that are pushing organizations towards digital transformation in procurement? So Ravi, give us some insights, especially if you can give it from your organization's perspective, that will be great.
See, I'm Ravi. I work for Raheja Corp. I'm heading the group procurement. See, today the stakeholders are looking at procurement just not as a cost center. They are looking at it as a indirect cost saving. So that requires strategic initiatives like many aspects like long-term service agreements, etc. So digitalization is one of the main factors which Raheja has realized long back, and then we are on that process. We have implemented certain parts, and then we are in the process of enhancing that so that the reach out will be more. Okay. Through the journey, what I have observed in this organization is it brings in operational excellence, be it by making the process end-to-end, and then give the data set in a concise way so that the decision making for the management will become much easier. And the most important thing what was observed is the stakeholders' happiness, like partners. Now, being in the real estate industry, we work with small contractors, we work with the big contractors and all. Now, they move, after they submit their invoices, they move from pillar to post. So there's no transparency. Now that has brought in by implementation of commerce automation. We are on Ariba platform, P2P. So everything is visible. When he has submitted the invoice, where is it, who is yet to be approved the invoice, when is he going to get the payment, that's one. And grievances are also, vendors have lots of grievances because the projects, the site engineer handles them. But if he has grievances, he can put in all the grievances, so those are addressed. So that's one thing. And next is the most important thing is in the real estate, what we observed is that now everyone is talking about sustainability. Now, Government of India has also promised that, okay, by 2070, by 2050, they want to go net zero. Now, if the government has to achieve net zero, every organization and every industry has to support it. So otherwise, you'll be out of business. So we do a lot of this thing, how to track it. So we are bringing in systems so that the tracking is easier. The whole supply chain sustainability, whether what the materials, where is it coming from, be it scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, all. Everything can be tracked easily. Otherwise, it is a humongous task for us to track it. So these are the things which, as an organization, which we found beneficial. Now we have, if you ask, where did we achieve? I mean, we are almost 60%. There's a long way to go. So we are in the process of more enhancing it.
Thank you. Thanks, Ravi. I think well begun is already half done. So, and I think the focus on sustainability with I think that's a must-have these days. None of us can escape it. Thank you for that. Hina, the next question is to you. You know, there's a huge amount of buzz around AI, automation, blockchain. So tell us your experience with Piramal. How have you been utilizing all of these latest technologies?
Thank you, Samit. So, I can talk about this for hours and hours, and maybe we can sit here till tomorrow if I discuss about what users can, AI, blockchain, and maybe predictive analytics bring to procurement. But to highlight a few of them, these days AI can help you do almost anything with respect to procurement. You can predict risks basis your demand plans, procurement risks, what is your raw material situation, how are you going to be in the next 3 or 6 months basis the supply situation that you have. One can very well assess supplier performances and risk associated with supplier performances as per your futuristic supplies. You can always have chatbots and robots assist you in your day-to-day operations. So there are workflow bots available. There are chatbots to help you track the status of your orders, to help you coordinate with your vendors, which, in the current scenario, maybe your team members are doing that. But deploy a chatbot and then, the chatbot works for you 24/7, doesn't ask you for a leave. Also, times are not far away when we'll be able to call Alexa and say, Alexa, why don't you create a purchase order for me? Because if we are able to standardize our procurements, if we are able to standardize our supplies, all of this is a very near future. It's not a distant scenario. Spend analytics is a great reality which we can achieve with predictive analytics. So, when you talked about procurements being the cost centers and driving the cost battle for companies, having a effective supply chain or having an effective spend monitoring is something which can take you to greater distances. A good spend analytics predicts you, how will you fare with respect to your saving targets, with respect to your COGS reduction targets. So spend analytics is another way of using predictive analytics to your advantage. Blockchain is still a less explored area currently in pharmaceuticals or even in other industries, I must say. While it is a buzzword, I think we should still use it with caution in terms of what information or how we can drive blockchain, because it is still based on the inputs that we feed into the system, which are collected at different stops or different positions. However, smart contracts is something which I still believe a very good use of blockchains. If you have standardized contracts, if you have executable milestones and the milestones which can be tracked by systems, smart contracts is something which is easily doable. So that is what I'd like to highlight. Thank you.
Thanks, Hina. I think that was a very comprehensive answer. I think, so Meera, let me take it to you at Hindalco. And I'll probably, continue the line of question that I had for Hina. So, can you tell us a little more about the predictive analytics part? So I know that Hina spoke about it in her context, but can you tell us about what kind of a role does predictive analytics play in terms of procurement innovation and how your organization is leveraging it?
So before Hindalco, I was with Ultratech also, just to give a brief background. In my view, predictive analytics is just a technology or a tool. One has to understand how to use it, in what context, what kind of business problems will be solved by using it. For example, in Ultratech, there is this category called packaging bags. It's a fast-moving category, and we have like 50 plus plants, we have 350 plus SKUs. It's a huge complexity, and sometimes a rake would be deployed at the plant, and huge outgo of bags would be there in one time only. And this would create a lot of firefighting situations. Now, we wanted to do the demand forecasting so that, we can manage the overall supply and ensure there is no stock out. But demand forecasting on its own adds no value, especially when you have large number of SKUs and data is not so structured, or data is not at a consolidated level. So understanding the business scenario here was critical for us, and we came up with something called dynamic buffer management solution. So dynamic buffer is already as a concept available right in the supply chain domain. We understood the overall theory of it, and we decided to implement it. So that way, we got all the data, the demand data, the actual consumption data, SNOP data, our inventory on hand, whatever was there with the vendor. We also ensured that vendor gives us the visibility of the stock that he's going to supply, so advance shipment notification and all. So we consolidated multiple data points and use dynamic buffer management to ensure that our supply chain is stabilized, and the entire process, right from the contract management till the last PO of the actual order, is actually automated. So in gist, I would like to say that understanding the usage of these technologies basis your business is very important, rather than just going ahead with the buzzword and focusing on the buzzwords.
So contextualization, especially in your in the context of your organization. I think that's a brilliant message. Thank you, Meera. So Devdutt, I'll go to you, and so Devdutt from Deepak Fertilizer. I must say, we have such a wide variety of companies and so much knowledge here on this stage. We could probably launch an MBA course just from the panelists on this stage. So, but we know that we don't have much time. So Devdutt, one of my favorite questions, whenever we talk about digital transformation, there's always a huge resistance about transformation. How do you go about driving stakeholder buy-in for any of these digital transformation initiatives?
Very good evening to all of you. When the digital transformation is there, everyone need to understand the company's nerve center. Every company has the different department, and different department has a conflicting KPIs. And that is where the things are coming into the difficult zones. There is one good analysis was there, Dr. Alan Barnard. He has shown the example in goals, strategic, tactical level, how the things are moving. This is called a cloud conflicts. The cloud conflicts means everybody have a conflicting interest and people are not taking the decisions. So people are oscillating from one end to another end to take the decisions. First, one need to understand that nervous system of the organizations and then select the right companies to make it happen in the ground, that how to address that issues, what the organization or pain point that organization is facing. And in our company, we are doing a lot of digital transformations in logistics and supply chain and procurement area. We first select those vendors who are going to help us for that digital transformations. Their ecosystem, our ecosystem should have to match. And then that implementations we are doing. Recent past we have taken into logistics field or IoT area, that auto plant. It has absolutely implemented in our one particular business. Now we are going for horizontal implementations. Purchase in iValua system we are doing. So still it is 1 year, we have some pain and they are supporting us. So that's the way we are doing the things.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Devdutt. Pramod, I move on to you. So let's talk about end-to-end visibility, which is the main focus of this panel. So tell us first of all, why is it so critical in modern procurement, and then how does it impact supply chain resilience? And this resilience has come across as a very relevant word since COVID. So tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah. So thank you, Samit. So my submission to this is very straightforward. That in the modern world of procurement, the visibility is no longer is a luxury, but is a necessity actually. And this is we need to understand. So if I want to speak specifically about the procurement, the visibility is a very important part when we are going to take care of the internal arrangement as well as an external arrangement. When I say internal arrangement, means that the procurement people has to supply the input material right on time to the manufacturing so that it will go smooth. And later on, we should be able to fulfill the commitment what we made to the market. And today, the world, if you fail in the commitment, and everything has been gone. So I have discovered this way that earlier, even today, a lot of people have been talking about this procurement is in cost center, but I don't consider the cost center as a profit center. And when I'm saying a profit center, because you are giving the leverage to marketing to sell the product right on time and day one. So I belong to Pharma, so I understand the necessity and importance of the launching the product on a day one. If procurement fail, and if you're not there on the day one launch, so where you selling the product of $100, next day you are going to sell a $1. So $99 loss in one strip, it can't be tolerated. So when I talk about the resilience, the COVID has been a hard way all pharma people have learned. And then the visibility comes into the picture. Is that how we are going to visibility? So in visibility, with respect to the time constraint, I would like to cover only one thing with the risk management. When is the risk management, that how your entire supply chain is at verge of risk, and then how you are going to control the risk. Majority of the time, the risk mitigation has been invented based on the failures. So how can we work on this and see that we should avoid the chances of failure? And that's why the visibility has been played a very, very important role, is that how your visibility. So how you're providing visibility to your partners, how you're providing visibility to your internal customers. And most importantly is that when you have the entire supply chain to be streamlined, this visibility is in play a very, very important role. And that's all from my side today.
Thank you, Pramod. I fully agree. Visibility is extremely important, and probably, what I'll do is I'll continue that line of questioning Anshul from Moglix. So Anshul, build on that, please. Tell us how this increased visibility contributes to cost savings, operational efficiency, and anything else.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. In the context of indirect procurement, right, which Moglix typically focuses on, and we help our customers in consolidating their spend and digitizing it, visibility can mean multiple things, right? One can be how good your data is. When I say how good your data is, say, for example, in indirect procurement, if you have multiple plants and each plant has a different description, each for the same item, if they have multiple parts, if they have multiple prices, right, that would mean you will have duplicacy in inventories, you will have duplicacies in ordering, and even if you are able to digitize, right, you are able to say, Alexa, order a safety glove for me. But if there is a safety glove with a description, cotton safety glove already in your plant, right, it will still lead to duplicacy. So you can leverage the technology only if you have clear visibility, if you have backend data which helps you in achieving that, right? Visibility can also mean, do you have access to inventories which your vendors have, right? Are you integrated with your ERP, which helps you in seeing real time what they have in their warehouse for you? In direct material, it is pretty much possible, but in indirect procurement, it's still something which people are trying to figure them out, right? Visibility can also mean, do you have digital catalog buying, which helps you give access of what you have done rate contracts for within the organization, so that when your users are buying, they buy through the rate contract and they do not have maverick buying. Today, that is also a challenge where we say that there is a rate contract which is done, but still, there are leakages. So, right, to summarize, I'll say anything which you can't see, right, in procurement, that will cost you. And when you have full visibility, decisions which you make, right, can be a lever for savings, for strategic growth.
Thank you. Thanks, Anshul. I think that's very well put. Anything you can't see will definitely come with a cost. Thank you for that. Meenakshi, let me carry on with this line of questioning. So tell us about the technologies that are enabling this visibility, which we've established is very important. So tell us what kind of technologies would enable this visibility for us.
Hi, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So, see, today I think we have the luxury of so many new technologies, right, which are coming in our sphere day to day. So I started in procurement way back, right, some 19, 20 years back. So a basic, cloud-powered procurement tool, which can digitize your source to pay, source to contract, some of the things, Ravi, Henna mentioned. So I think those are becoming norm of the day. So they were used to be an exception earlier. We had to go and educate the customers. Today they're becoming a norm, right? So basic business processes, which are within the four walls of your organization, they can be easily, digitized. But then obviously today we are sitting at a confluence where, newer technologies like, advanced analytics. Now, whether it is Power BI or ClickSense or, any tool that you use, Tableau, to bring all of your spend data, massage it, classify, enrich it, report it, have, dashboards on a click. They are becoming, very common. To kind of bring that insights back into your, like we used to say, shop floor to top floor, kind of a, that's another area. One thing which I've stopped seeing a little bit, but then it still used to exist, and again, like Meera said, some technologies I'll mention very quickly. You have to understand the context for your own organization, right? You have to understand the context of what are your pain points, what are your challenges, and what are you trying to solve. and what are your priorities. So for example, blockchain, I think Hina touched upon it. Now there are lots of use cases of blockchain, all the way from cryptocurrencies to smart contracts. In procurement sense, smart contracts are definitely a use case. We should experiment in a very sanitized pilot kind of a way and see if it makes sense for you. APIs, I was recently speaking to some organization, and then they said, you know what, even if I take a source to pay tool, whether it's Ariba or GEP or anybody right in the market, they don't have everybody is not end all, right? They will still have certain gaps. No tool in the world today will have 100% fitment to your procurement processes, and they will bring all the visibility to you. So you need to have APIs which can go and kind of fetch those information and bring that incremental visibility into your business processes. EDIs, there are cases where you will want to integrate your ERP to a supplier ERP because they will refuse to come on a supplier portal. So technologies like that. And then RPA, conversational AI. I was speaking to somebody, in fact, as recent as yesterday. We all spoke about supplier risk. They went a step further. They are one of the top manufacturing company today in India. They said, we don't want to measure supplier risk at tier 1. We've done it. We want to measure our supplier risk at tier N. So today, if I have a supplier, and that supplier has a subcontractor, who's then again has a further, competence manufacturer, I want to measure risk at the nth level of my supplier, geopolitical, civil, it could be anything. So that's where AI, conversational AI, these things are becoming important. So like I said, I think we are sitting in a very, very, I think as procurement practitioners, as people who are selling technology or who are consuming it, I think we're sitting in a very exciting time today where we have so much technology at our disposal. We just have to make the right decisions that who's the right partner for us.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Very comprehensive, and I think those are very, very relevant technologies, whether it's API, EDI, RPA, all of these. But I think most importantly, like you rightly said, context matters. Yeah, and I like the shop floor to top floor. So, okay, so let me move to Samit then. So Samit, tell us about the challenges that companies are facing when implementing these digital procurement solutions, and tell us how these can be overcome.
Yeah. Thanks, Ramit, for the question, and good afternoon. Just taking a cue and a segue from what Meenakshi just now mentioned, procurement tools or procurement applications actually help in bringing in better transparency and efficiency. That's basically what it does. But there are several things that happen which don't make it happen. The first and foremost being buyers themselves agreeing to use them. I think that's the first big challenge that stakeholders need to look at, or the people need to look at, and it's a big challenge. While today there is a lot of work that has happened, and many of these technologies have become very, very ubiquitous, but still, there is that sense of threat that buyers have, that whether I was buying it correctly, whether there's something happening there, and therefore there's a lot of resistance. One of the ways that I have used right from my early days is never measure a buyer by the savings. Just measure the buyer by the spends. Just see how much can he put in. Let's say if there's an e-procurement tool, just see how many events can he put in a month. So measure him on the month. The more you put in spend into a system, you are bound to get the benefits. It's a natural thing. So what happens is you remove that threat away and you push him onto a very different metric, a metric that he or she does not really, measure or feel threatened by. The second one, I think, is around data and data integrity, both in the form of integration, something which Meenakshi touched upon, but also in the form of consistency, especially in today's day and time when you have a lot of tools. Many of them are from base ERP tools, a lot of them are from point of sales tools, a lot of them from, let's say, your cloud-based tools where you are ingesting a lot of data and then massaging it. We've often seen that APIs don't seem to work properly, or you don't have a standard toolkit of APIs, and that's where a lot of time must be spent from a technology standpoint to look at the kind of integration that you're doing so that data consistency is there. Because the last thing you want is data to give you a wrong direction. And that's what you have to be very careful as a chief procurement officer. The third one, which is a new one, well, it's not really new, but one part of it is new, which is about cyber security and data privacy. I don't think people understand the importance of data privacy as yet in India, but people do realize the importance of cyber security. And therefore, when you have disparate tools, because these are also tools which are often being used by external, let's say your vendors, your partners, it's very important to ensure that the data security is maintained, and there are sufficient amount of guardrails and firewalls that are there to ensure that not any discriminating agencies coming into your system and trying to get information. And this could also mean competition for that matter, because businesses can get nasty. But the last one, and this I think is a very important one, is data privacy. And of course, there's a DPDP Act which has come into play right now. But often we don't realize the kind of data that we handle, the type of data that we handle, and the privacy around that. So that's where I think to begin with, a lot of education and training needs to come in. So these are generally the general pitfalls or the general worries that one should be looking at. And I think once if we've covered these, of course, there are many, many more steps that one can take. But I thought broadly, these are the 4 things that I thought were important.
Thank you. Thanks, Amit. I think that was very comprehensive and very structured. Thank you very much. So are there any questions from the audience? We have been allowed 1 or 2, so any questions, or maybe then we can call it a wrap. So I would like to, then thank UBS Forums, and I would especially also like to acknowledge that, they've managed to have ladies on the stage. It's, I am a huge fan of diversity, and this is one of the forums, or this is one of the places where we see a lot of women. I hope we have more of these. So thank you very much. And with that, we call it a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you so much.